Hello and welcome back to Fire Emblem Order of the Crimson Arm, 100% Groats, low turn count playthrough. This video will be tackling Chapter 15X, a map that's pretty complicated. So I'll be talking about it pretty fast. This is the last map where Bolas will be able to contribute while unpromoted, and because of this, there's no real reason to keep him unpromoted any longer. Not to mention, he's nearly capped his strength and skill, and we want him to be able to push those further. Promoting him also gives him a crit boost, which is nice for killing an enemy in a way of recruiting a secret unit. Speaking of which, this map contains 2 recruitable units. There is a Sage that we recruit by waiting on a specific tile with a unit, and a Swordmaster we recruit. Elaine takes the Angelic Robe because she finally promotes, and we want her to have good bulk. She also takes an Earth Seal, but that's kind of a given. She has a Restore Staff because there is a Sleep Staff in this map, although we never end up getting hit by it. Fielded Robert again because he's able to weaken a couple of enemies. The Swordmaster that we have to deal with is on the left of the screen, or on the left of the map, whereas the secret unit we want to recruit is to the right. You might think that we're going to divide and conquer, but no, actually. We're using the units that we're sending up the left to recruit both units. We're just using units on the right to get one other side objective. There's an Earth Seal on a sniper. We also need to unlock a door. I know. Riveting. Auguste is able to frontline a bit more in this chapter. And Rayland is able to start using the Light Brand to build more experience. The Swordmaster we want to recruit has a killing edge and is really bulky. And is quite fast. However, we want to avoid her killing herself. We also need to start getting Sven's Lance rank up soon. So we're going to focus on building his Lance rank again, which we can afford to do now that we bought more javelins. Sniper does have a crit boost, which is really nice. And you'll be seeing that because it makes crit rigs with snipers a lot easier. We burn a lot of RNs here, and by a lot I mean 2. By doing this, we're able to recruit the Swordmaster that you see on screen next turn, because she's recruited by Auguste. In all honesty, Auguste should have had a hand axe equipped, so his hit rate was as low as possible against Danica. We also should have traded Negu over to the Steel Sword instead of a Heavy Spear. Elaine's staff rank still does matter, but we want her to start gaining tome rank. There are a couple of really good tomes we want her to be able to use in late game. I don't remember what lance Lani is using right now. It might actually be the Silver Lance. She needs it to one-run the hero. Although she ends up critting him anyway. I decided to just keep it, even though it burns through uses of the Silver Lance. That, Archer has a decent crit rate on Elaine. Elaine's low-ish bulk is actually kind of helpful for some purposes. Katarina needs to dodge one of the 3 enemies that attack her this turn. Or, yeah, at least one. Auguste is mainly using a Javelin because he wants to build up to S-rank lances. However, the speed at which he does so doesn't really matter because the time where he needs the crit boost is it's a long time away. Robert is also deployed mainly to weaken enemies enough for Celia to build up experience. She still needs training. She caps her skill here. She will be promoting soon, just not yet. Negu's combat stats seem kinda weak, although they're actually perfectly salvageable. Her stats are not terrible. And by the end of this chapter, she will be ready for promotion relatively soon. It's just javelins are really weak. That's why her stats seem bad. Admittedly, what I'm doing here with Robert is a bit risky. But thankfully, we're able to kill the other two enemies that would threaten him. He has high enough res that monk is unable to kill him unless he crits. Wayland still needs to get a lot of experience. He took a speedwing last map, but we still want him to get more points of speed before he promotes. He only has a 23 speed cap after his promotion, but he gains a lot of speed on promotion. So we want him to have as much speed as possible when he promotes, because we want his combat stats to be as good as possible. Recruit Danica, and she takes a steel sword from the convoy and uses it to kill an archer. There is a use for swordmasters that I mentioned at the very beginning of this playthrough. They are able to double the final boss when using the S-rank sword, and in fact, that's the niche that Danica and Ernst have. Ernst, however, has worse base stats than Danica, and Danica joins at a time where it's much easier to train her. However, Ernst has better bases than most of the cast early on, so you can use either. I use neither for this playthrough. Danica is deployed a few times as a filler sword unit, although she's outclassed by that too by another unit who joins later. Negu barely hits C-rank lances here. Whether or not Lani crits there doesn't really matter. She just needed to not die. She's carrying Auguste because Auguste obviously needs to be able to seize. This map is turned forward by gaining access to the secret character. There's also a really, really bad boss in the throne. He's really dodgy. He's a swordmaster with a lance reaver, and he also has a lot of attack speed. There's no really easy way to deal with him. He's a terrible boss to deal with. The other thing Robert does is that he helps provide some experience for Camille. Olsab kills the annoying Sleep Sage. That short axe never ends up getting used. It's a hand axe, it's a 1 to 2 range axe with only 50 hit, although its other stats are decent enough. There's no real reason to bring the other units over here, although Auguste is able to pick up a kill, so. I should have used the killing edge here, but this also works. Danica's stats are decent enough at base. Her strength and speed are decent. Katarina is just going to turn into Wayland's dancer bot to help him get trained a little bit more. Wayland's stats are so high, he's able to just start one-shotting enemies with stronger weapons now. The reason we don't care about whether or not Lani crits that soldier is because of that. We're unable to seize on turn 4, or whatever next turn is, because we need access to the secret unit, which we can only get 2 turns from now. Lani went back to using an Iron Lance because it's sufficient enough to one-round these enemies. Believe it or not, despite the fact that she promoted 2 maps ago, Lani just capped her Lance rank. You might expect her to be the one who kills the boss, but no, actually. There's another unit who's more deserving of that. Also, the boss is a Landsaber, so he'd be annoying to take care of anyway. We pick up a Dorky here with Boleslav. You might be wondering why we pick it up. We actually need that for a later chapter. Just kidding, there's no real reason other than the fact that it's not really convenient. Luckily, Lani already has a way of opening doors. And if she doesn't, then Negu does. I believe it's Negu. Yeah, Negu already brought a Dorky with her. That sniper you see there is holding an Earth Seal, and he's actually on top of the tile with the secret unit. The unit who picks up the boss kill is Auguste. I only wanted him to hit and not get crit. I was originally planning on giving this boss kill to Sven, because the boss could switch to the Landsweeper. But this is a much funnier outcome. All Lani needs to do is heal here. She can survive pretty much everything. Yeah, you see that she has in fact capped her Lance rank. And now the only unit who has to move is Sven. He's mainly there just to ensure that the boss kill happens. All I burned for was just that Auguste doesn't get crit. Instead, he gets a crit. I don't even know. With an Iron Lance, Lani is still able to one-round all of these enemies. We have a Steel Sword on a Negu, specifically because there are a couple of turns. If she uses a Steel Sword a couple of times, she's able to get her sword rank up to C upon promotion. Lani needs to dodge the bow attacks, but they're not that hard for her to dodge. I wasn't sure who I was going to do with what when I originally planned out this chapter. But with the Steel Sword, Negu was just barely able to pick off this sniper. She could also use a Heavy Spear for it. She gets herself an Earth Seal. And then Elaine is a little bit short of one-rounding a monk, but that's okay. Lani waits here to pick up our secret unit. And then Sven one-rounds this warrior. That kill admittedly should have gone to Boleslav, but it doesn't really matter. Now that there's no more combat, I can safely improv and give Camille an extra heal. And that's Chapter 15X, completed in 5 turns when Auguste seizes the throne. After I dance once with Katarina for a little bit of extra experience. The end of this chapter is a little buggy. If you skip a cutscene, you skip a cutscene where Ernst picks up a Wodao. But I just send the Wodao to the convoy. We also skip a cutscene where Tanya joins us. I'll talk about her more in the next chapter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for Chapter 16.